I hear waterfalls. Nope. Just getting some water. G'day, hi and welcome. I'll have you know, we're at mouse number 22. I have found the exact spot they're coming in because there's been a mouse since I moved that trap over like a couple of inches. Like as soon as they step out of that little hole, they jump right onto the trap, right? It works good. So I'm at mouse number 22 because I haven't caught a mouse in a while, and then I caught one and thought, okay, maybe I'll just move my trap over a little bit and see what happens. So today is Friday. Tuesday will be Remembrance Day, so I gotta do photos for that. There was snow on the ground this morning. It's almost all melted there now, so I woke up and said, oh, it begins. It begins. About an inch of snow on the ground. It's like, oh. So my goals for today is get as much scrap metal out as I can into that pile. Empty out the shed because I don't know if I'll get the scrap metal out of here this year, but I'd like to. It would just be a little extra cash, that's fine, but most importantly, it'd be gone, right? But at least if I could centralize it all to one area when we go to pick it up, it'll be one load, maybe two. If I picked up just all the scrap metal that's available to me right now, all my clients and everything like that, I probably have about 3 tons, maybe 4. If I can get to it all, that's the whole thing. Like to get to it all. If I can get to it all, and get it all done this year, everybody be happy. I'd be happy. And then, yeah, no luck on a vehicle yet. No luck on a vehicle yet. Still looking. But my budget's going up ever so slightly. So I mean, I'm up to about a $4,000 vehicle potentially now. I mean, if I took every cent I have, yeah, I could get something really good, but I wouldn't have any money coming in for the winter, and I can't expect people to cover my living costs for like the next 6 months, right? Yeah, so I'm not going to wipe myself out like that. So I have to be smart where my money goes. But I did count up all my money that I had yesterday. You got to do that every now and then, right? I was like, like a lot of people, like when you realize how little I make a year, uh, you know, between 15 and probably 20,000 a year is probably roughly what I make. I've yet to break the $30,000 mark. I'm sure. Uh, I've always been, which I consider working class poor. You know what I mean? Like that's working class poor. But is what it is. But also I don't live extravagant. However, I do have a house. It's an old, dilapidated, rickety house, but it's a good house, and it's could be my forever home. Definitely going to be my studio. Like, I love it. I love the idea of it. A lot of work left to do. You know, that kind of thing. So I'm saving up a house fund. For repairs and stuff like that. I'll just keep that ongoing. You know, like they say, you rather die with money in the bank than penniless, right? So that's kind of the goal. But today I got to get some work done. I'm not going to go too crazy. Past 2 days I've had off, so I had Thursday off. I didn't know if I was going to have Friday off. I couldn't get a hold of the gentleman again last night. Uh, got one more person to try to see if I can get a hold of them, but it might be just simply the fact that they're not there, that there's elsewhere, right? So getting the beavers, even if I had my own vehicle, like I still have to wait to show them how I'm setting the traps, where I'm setting the traps, and how to check the traps, regardless. So when I do get a hold of him, I'll say, well, if he's tied up or whatever, Uh, the other two gentlemen, can you, get me in touch with them and I'll coordinate with them, right? And maybe they're willing to. If they're not willing to pick me up, well, then I can't do it, right? But I already bought the license for $40, so I don't think. I mean, it's not the end of the world. I could, throw a trap in the creek and see if I could recoup the license, whatever. Uh, is what it is. That's why I wanted to wait to buy the trapping license to make sure everything was a go, because you just never know with these things, right? It's like, oh, this guy didn't show up, so the hell with him. I'll get somebody else or whatever. But like like the other two guys might find somebody else. You know what I mean? Because the other guy's distracted, and then it's like, oh well, the other guy's found somebody, so don't worry about it. It's like, yeah, but I already bought the license. It's only $40, so it's not the end of the world. I took a bit of a gamble there. I really should have waited, but I really didn't think I wasn't going to get a hold of them because, like, on the 18th was trapping day, the 18th of October, and I was ready to go. So it's like I called and said, okay, well, 2 days later I bought the trapping license or whatever, and now we're November 6th, 7th. You know what I mean? But that's okay too, because I mean, about mid-November on, that's when the furs start getting good. Once it starts getting cold, like till it gets like you need 2 weeks of cold before the beavers' pelts uh, start thickening up, and you need like just gut wrenching cold to get like prime furs, right? So like peak is like late December to about mid January, near the end of January. If it's like a minus 40 January, minus 30, minus 40 January, you get really phenomenal pelts. The colder it is, the better the pelts are, right? The thicker the beaver pelts are. Like the beavers will literally gain about 4 or 5 inches of fur just to I mean, with the beavers though, it's like, okay, a bear, it's their fur that keeps them warm a bit, but it's their fat that really keeps them warm. A deer, it's their thick hide, because a deer doesn't, like, it has thick enough hair. It's very coarse, right? Where a beaver has semi coarse hair. A bear has soft hair, right? But like a deer, it's like really coarse hair, and it really the thickest of hides. So it's their hides that keep it, because deer really don't have a lot of fat on them, right? And I think rifle season. I was talking to Sean. He was saying I think rifles in today or tomorrow morning for rifle for deer. A few people got a couple of nice bucks have been shot, but I'm not gonna be hunting. There's just none on my property, and it's been like that for quite a few years. And I'd rather the deer population come up a bit. You know, uh, like I love deer meat. Don't get me wrong; it's my favorite. But I'm also a conservationist mindset wise. So it's like I love hunting, but like going out there season after season and not seeing anything, not getting anything, it's like, okay, well, maybe give it a break for like a decade or whatever. It's more than my enjoyment and ego, right? Um, yeah, because I love hunting, I really do. But when you're hunting, you just never get anything because there's simply just nothing in your area. You know what I mean? It's not you're a bad hunter, whatever. I'm an excellent hunter, but it's just there's nothing in my area. You know what I mean? But people are getting them. Most of the people that get them are on the farms though. Like people that live on farms, they get the deer, gravitate to the farms, right? So, but it's not like when I was a kid where pretty much anybody that went out hunting got one. And it was always stories like this. Like when I was a kid, it was like, well, I saw two bucks, and the first one, he was a spike horn, so I let him go. The second one, he was a 6 pointer. He was a nice 6 pointer, but I was like, well, if I see him again, I'll get him. And then I waited for the 8 or 10 pointer, right? And then, or like Buckzilla with 14 points in my area. Like A 14 point buck is unheard of in my area. 12 pointer is like that, because we have whitetail, we don't have mule deer out west. They have mule deer. I'd love to get one of those, but I'm sure there's some crossbred mule deer here. There's probably some of them because sometimes you'll see a deer, it's a doe or whatever. It's just like she's over 200 pounds. Like just like that's like the biggest doe I've ever seen. It's usually a really old doe. Like does get big, really big when they get old. You'd almost mistake them for a small moose calf or something like that. It's like, oh, it's a freaking doe. But you get except for that time, right out. It was bow season, and right under the yard lamp there that don't work anymore, right at the top there. I was coming out of my mom and dad's place, walking down the road, and I looked over, and it was the biggest buck I had ever seen. It was just his silhouette, just the way he was silhouetted under the light there. He was just completely blacked out, but his horns went up like this, and it was just tangs to the sky. His rack had to be that high. I don't know how many points. It was probably 12 or 14 points, but his neck, I couldn't get, like, you could see the muscles in his neck, and it wasn't even in the rut yet. The shoulders. It's like I thought it was a horse at first, and it was, and then it looked. My God, that's like the biggest buck I ever seen. And then there was that 13 pointer. I seen him twice, but he was out of range of my archery. He was on the far side of the field over there. And 2 days later, somebody else got him. I was like, oh. But he was a nice buck. I think he was like 190, 195, something like that. He was a big buck. I forget who shot him, but it was. And then the buck that I nearly shot, he was a non-typical. He had one horn came down like that and close to his eye. It was like weird. He must have, I don't know, maybe he damaged it in a fight or something like that. But he was like that for like a couple of months. And anyway, I watched him, saw him like maybe about 8, 10 times. And then when opening morning of bow season, I was just coming around about by my cousin's place there. We call it Killer Hill there. Came around and there he was. I got maybe about 20 feet from him. And I was just drawing on him and the doe snorted and then tails everywhere. It was about 5 or 6 deer just flying everywhere. I had it on video too on my old my old camera there. So yeah, there was that. But yeah, I missed him, and then I ended up shooting Spiky the Terrible. I still have the skulls. I gotta bring those down too, I guess, at some point. I don't know where to put everything though. Like this house isn't really that big. I have a lot of stuff, but not like in comparison to most people. I don't have a lot of stuff. Most, like, if you took away all my tools, I've got guitars and clothes. You know what I mean? You get rid of the sailboat, the 2 trucks, and the motorbike. I don't own, the biggest thing I'd own was the Mesa Boogie cab. You know what I mean? Or the drum kit, I guess. I just don't really own anything. And once I get everything down here, one of my winter projects is going to be Operation Declutter. There's a lot of tools that I got. It's just like, okay, they're still good tools, but like, how many things of screwdrivers do you actually need? You know what I mean? Like, one good screwdriver set will last you a lifetime if you don't, as long as you're not using all the Stanley screwdrivers as chisels, you should be okay. My chisels are pretty good. I've got assorted. I got this 1 inch chisel that, man, that thing was such a. I have a 1 inch and a 2 inch chisel, and then I got a whole bunch of other chisels, like 3/4. Then I've got carving chisels, and they'll last me a lifetime. Like my woodworking stuff will probably last me a lifetime. So, but I want to go through everything I own. It's tedious. But you just do, like, you pick a box and you go through it, and then you condense down. Then after you do it about 3 or 4 times, if you do it once a year, you manage every single item you own. The big thing is paper. Tomorrow I'm going to be clearing out another house at the one where all those little kitty cats are, the ones that keep trying to, like, come home with me and stuff. Well, the cats aren't there anymore because they've all been removed. But that place there is she's been trying to sell it since her husband died, and it's really rough. The place is really rough. Would have been like in prestige condition. It'd be like a dream home for somebody. It's quite a bit of acre. I think it was like 40 acres. I'm not sure. She told me, but I can't remember what she said. If she said it was 12 acres or 40 acres. They got a nice little swamp lake, little mud lake in the back, stuff like that. Huge pines everywhere. But like there's like years of like hoarding there. You know what I mean? And I've already gotten rid of like I was when I had my vehicle because my other client was just across the road, so to speak. I was like, I told her, I said, well, each week I'll go in there and I'll fill I'll fill up the garbage bins for you once a week, and I was doing that, but then I got so busy I wasn't able to do it, right? And then of course my vehicle broke down. But I burnt a whole bunch, like I burnt a whole bunch of stuff for her in the spring. Um, I've got a ton of scrap metal there to get, tons of scrap metal. And the thing is, to get it all, I need my buddy Paul's trailer and I need a truck. And I don't want to borrow my dad's truck for that too much, right? Because it's my dad's truck, and my dad's truck's not a V8. It's a four-cylinder or six-cylinder. I can't remember. I think it's a six. Like they got rid of the Ford Ranger and they replaced the Ford Ranger with the F-150, which is already the most popular truck out there. But all they did is just they put different engine options in the F-150, so you can get a four-cylinder F-150. Now, my thinking is this: okay, yes, the full-size truck part of it I like, but the extra weight of the full-size truck on a four-cylinder engine, I don't know how that works out. You know what I mean? Um, but for day to day driving, it would be good. But man, like, you start, what's your towing capacity with a four cylinder, and like, how well does that hold up? The six would hold up better. But the problem with a six cylinder is usually people tow, they think they could tow like the engine's usually strong enough, which is, revs a little higher. But usually what it is that the transmission's not built heavy enough like the V8s. Like a V8, very rarely do you blow out the trans, unless you're doing stupid stuff. Like you got the guy who's 25 years old doing burnouts with his truck and then complains that that brand of truck is piece of shit because whatever. Yeah, but you've been doing burnouts with it. Like, like trucks have enough torque. Even the small trucks have enough torque to break themselves. That's the biggest problem with like when you get to the over a 4 liter engine is the torque can be your friend, but it could also be your enemy really quickly. Uh, that's what I like about the Dodges is that they're just built like they're freaking Neanderthals. I mean they're just built like brick shit houses. Uh, so they're good that way. The biggest thing with the Dodges is usually electrical. It's usually some sort of stupid sensor or whatever. But even at that, in the rural areas, the Ram 1500 is the most, whether it's Canada or the United States, the Ram 1500 is the most popular. The Ram 1500 is the second most popular amongst women drivers. That not a lot of women own trucks, like, but some of them do, right? The Tundra, I think, is the number one for female drivers. In the States, Hispanic drivers are all basically Chevrolet. GMC is like old white dudes because I think the GMCs are basically the most expensive overall. The Canyons, they're pretty popular. The Rangers, well, the Rangers, they don't make them anymore. And the Mazda B40, well, they still make that, I think. The Tacomas, I think, are I think Tacomas outsell the Mazda B40s and B60s, but the yeah, I think the Tacoma's more. The Tacoma is a great looking little truck. It really is, especially if they got them set up like for the off road stuff. They look good, but anything from I think 2017 to 2019 has frame issues. There's a recall on the frame because the frames like they rust out way too fast because they weren't built heavy enough. So that's but like again, like Japan, they don't get like they get snow in Japan and stuff like that. And I mean, they got mountains there, like it's basically an island, right? So the problem with the Japanese though is they probably don't use like the salt and lime and calcium on the roads like we do, right? And that's one of the thing about North American vehicles. Like if you look at all the vehicles up in the Arctic, for example, they're either North American made or they're typically like Nordic or Russian, right? Because we build them for really cold climates, so you don't get a lot of like you'll get BMWs up in the like up in the like the Arctic Circle and stuff like that, but like typically you know it's going to be something that people that just know like when you get into like a like a North American branded vehicle in the wintertime, you'll notice a difference, like how the windows don't fog up the same, stuff like that. It's just stuff you have to live in that kind of climate to kind of understand what to design for. But even then, like winter is like the worst thing for any vehicle. Like if you like, there's people like I talk to in Arizona and stuff like that, and they're like they're still driving like '90s vehicles. The paint's tarnished on it from the sun, but other than that, like there's like no rust on them. You know what I mean? Like the quarter panels are still. I mean, maybe a little bit of rust, whatever, but there's like no rust on them. They just you know the big thing down there is uh, like dry rot, right? Because of the sun, right? It just dry rots the dashes and dry rots the the leather and stuff like that. It's just so dry, right? But other than that, it's fine. But what I wish they would make though, it's just I don't think they can. Well, they could do it. Is like, yeah, like people are agreeing with me about those computer dashes. Tablets right in the middle of the freaking like that. That's geared towards like Gen Z and I guess upcoming Gen Alpha. Like everything's got to have computers in it, the backup cameras and stuff like that. I'm not opposed to the backup camera because when you're hooking up a trailer, it makes life a lot easier. But you get good enough at hooking up a trailer, you don't need it per se. But what I don't like is these small back windows that if your camera's clogged or whatever, you can't see what you're backing up to. And it's a style issue. It's not an aerodynamic issue or like that. Like the the emissions I think have gotten ridiculous in some ways. Like if you had an old square body, right? I mean, or even like the Ford F-150, like the Generation 9, like I had, those things, the visibility out of those were perfect. You know what I mean? Like, especially in the rate cab, like even with an 8-foot box, you could, it was like sitting in a lookout tower. It really was. You had like the front end of a Ford Taurus hooked with a box on the back, right? And a V8 engine. What's not to like, Like I love the truck. I love that. Freddie was a great truck. Yeah, that F-150, the 2002 F-150, comfiest vehicle I ever drove. I swear to God, that thing was just such a pleasure to drive. Even in comparison to new vehicles, like I would take that. It's just they had it right. That that seat was just perfect. The geometry was just perfect. The wheel was comfortable. The door was perfect for resting your arm. That armrest was in You know what I mean? Like you get into a vehicle, it's like, oh, it's good. But if it's just a little too far, just a little too close, it makes a difference, right? And then when you get one that's right, it's just like it's so good, right? Almost as comfy as my mom's Dodge Mini Caravan. Like that thing. Again, I've ridden in the LS 300. Drove an LS 300. I didn't own it, but I drove it. I've driven Cadillacs. I've driven you name it, the luxury car. Been in Jags. I've been all that stuff. And those are luxury cars, right? Those are Lincoln Continental. you know, uh, the most luxurious, comfiest cars, and the 2002 Mini Caravan with just regular bucket seats in it, comfiest thing you ever drive. Like it was so comfy, like the geometry, because they had the floor geometry right. Like it was your foot just rested naturally, so your ankle was never bent. You know what I mean? That and just the height was you could get the height perfect, right? It was really good. It was really good. So I don't know what vehicle I'll end up with, but whatever I do, it has to have towing capacity so I can empty out the metal at people's places. Like if I went in there once a week at the other place, within probably about 6 months, I would probably get all the metal out of there. And she'd be super happy, and I'd be happy because I'd be helping her out. It wouldn't cost her anything for the metal. I'd do that for free for her, and then it's just I'm like like I'd like to help people out as much as possible, but I also have to make money too, right? So yeah, nobody volunteers anymore. It's too hard. You know what I mean? Like retired people can volunteer. You know what I mean? Like they can do it, but like regular working people, they can't really volunteer. It just requires too much, too much time. I mean, like if inflation dropped to half of what, like if the cost of living dropped to half of what it is right now, with the wages still the way they are, yeah, people, would be working like 30 hours a week and all the time in the world to do whatever they want, and then they'd volunteer. Then then you see that stuff, right? But when people, the cost of living is so high, people are just, no, if I'm going to do any work, I have to make money because I'm not making enough money, right? So that's where you're at. That's where you're at. So I'm gonna go out and do some scrap metaling, put it in the piles. Kind of miserable out there, but my goal is to do a little bit of work. I was gonna do some chainsawing today, but then I started thinking about it. Probably best to clean up some of those briars first. So I'm gonna see if I can burn some of that. So if I get about 2 hours worth of work done, then I can start working on my new song. Can't wait to do that. Get the BR 1200 all set up and go from there. Today, I think I'm going to try the song with the internal distortion, just because it's set up already for that. It's easier than moving around mics because I got the mics set up for the drum kit right now, and I might just leave just leave it like that. I like the sound of the distortion of the BR 1200. The only thing is that you don't get the same liveliness with feedback and stuff like that. But this song, it's going to be, it's not. There's no feedback to really require it, so that'll be brand new strings on the Charvel too. So yeah, so I'll be doing that. But I'm gonna get my ass out there, see how much scrap metal I can get out of the woodshed. Brought a few things down this morning, so brought some more trapping stuff down. So yeah, anyway, yeah, enough lollygagging. Let's get the work done.